India did not want to depend on any other country for the navigational services, and that's why they got NavIC into the picture. But today the government is saying it is not functioning, and this is when we have to understand that as of now, if you are looking for standalone position using India's own NavIC, then you might not be getting it. But the question is why? What went wrong, and why the promise of Atmanirbhar Bharat is not working out for us in navigational services. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand in detail that why finally government had to tell the parliament that NavIC is not working. It is not able to give the standalone navigation position, and what exactly has been wrong with it has also been put forth. So let us understand all of this. So when we are looking at what exactly has unfolded, so in parliament, government finally has told and given the acknowledgement that when we are talking about NavIC, which is the navigation service fully known as navigation with Indian Constellation, this is not fully functional. The reason has been told is the fact that only 3 satellites have been left active as of now. So when we are looking at this particular thing, what we are understanding is when we are talking about NavIC, it is not able to provide the standalone positioning services, and the reason that is because of the fact that only 3 satellites are present there. But what does it exactly mean? It means that we only have 3 operational satellites present in the operational constellation that we wanted. What are these satellites? We have IRNSS 1B, we have IRNSS 1L, and we also have NAV 01. And these are the only 3 satellites which are present. But to make NavIC operational, to be able to give us accurate, proper standalone positioning services, we need 4 satellites. And because we are falling short by 1 satellite here, it is not fully functional. So when we are looking at NavIC, let us start from there and understand that what exactly NavIC is present for. Why were we pitched the idea of that the standalone positioning services is something that India can do on our own? Why are we not using the technology that can be enabled by other countries and other things around here? So when we are talking about NavIC, it is basically something that was earlier known as IRNSS. Now this is something you can understand from the fact that I've already mentioned that we have 2 satellites in place, IRNSS 1B and IRNSS 1L. This was formerly known as Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. This has been renamed as NavIC. What is NavIC? Navigation by Indian Constellation. Now this NavIC has been an IRNSS, has been developed by ISRO, our very own important public service space agency. And in this context, the whole idea of bringing NavIC into the picture was that we will be having our own satellite navigation system. That means we would not have to use any GPS or any foreign navigation system. For example, when we are talking about GPS, it is not a navigation system of our country, it is of another country. Can you tell me which particular country has GPS as their navigation system? Now, why was NavIC brought in? So the broad term that we are putting in front of you, we are seeing that it was got into for satellite navigation system. But what exactly NavIC did for you? So NavIC provided PNT services. Now what are PNT services? P stands for positioning, N stands for navigation, and T stands for time. Positioning for determining the exact location, navigation for the route guidance, and timing for providing highly accurate time synchronization with the satellite and the positioning in terms of navigation or this. So these PNT services were to supposedly come from NavIC. Now when we are looking at NavIC, you also have to understand this was not something that was just for civilian purposes, it also had strategic purposes. So this satellite system was of dual use and it offered us a regional coverage. Now when we are talking about regional coverage, what do we mean by that? The primary service area did cover India plus 1500 kilometers of area was also covered. So primary service area and secondary service area of more than 1500 kilometers. This particular PNT services was provided across this particular region. But when we are talking about GPS, which has been given by, which is the system of US, this is a global service. Similarly, the navigation system of Russia, navigation system of China, these are global systems. But when we are looking at India and NavIC, this is a regional system. As I said, it is for dual use, what the purposes it was going to serve, where it was going to be used. For the civilian purposes, when we are talking about PNT, I think you will have a fair idea that it was for smartphone navigation, road transportation, serving, railways, aviation, etc. But when we are talking about better usage of our own satellite system, it was going to help us in disaster management, in fisheries and more. Apart from that, when we are looking at the strategic purposes, it was going to facilitate us in missile guidance, military operations, maritime surveillance, secure communication and also border management. When we are looking at this part of the purpose, you would understand that why did we not want to depend on any foreign navigation system and why we wanted to have an indigenous system for that. But that indigenous system is not working, and that is exactly what the government has told us. So the question here is, why is it not working? If you have sold us the idea that this is something that is important, that should be done on our own by our country, then why it is not happening? As I said, it is not happening because we only have 3 satellites which are operational as of now. So that will bring you to the question that why 4 satellites are required? Why 3 satellites cannot give us the same services that 4 satellites are given? So this is where we come to a very simple concept of trilateration. Now when we are talking about trilateration, what does it mean? When we are talking about a particular satellite, whenever the signal is received there, that is how we understand that what is the location from where the signal is coming, and based on that we calculate the distance and understand the location. For let's just say, if from this very point the signal is going to this particular satellite, so we will be measuring the distance that signal has covered, and based on this distance we will be determining the location. And we need satellites because all of these satellites not only broadcast the precise location, they also give us the exact transmission time, how much time it took to move this distance. And why do we need that? Because when we have the time, when we have the speed, we can figure out the distance from satellite, and this distance will be responsible for knowing the location, right? So this is how it works. Now we have to put this in context with 4 satellites. Now when we are bringing this into picture, let us try to understand this by a very simple example. Let's just say your friend is standing at the Karol Bagh metro station. Now you say that I am 5 kilometers away from Karol Bagh metro station. So if this is Karol Bagh metro station, you are 5 kilometers away. But this 5 kilometer can be in any direction. You have not specified which direction, right? 5 kilometer away, okay. So there is a possibility, lot more possibility to it. You can be anywhere in the circle. Now understand that these services do not work in circles, they work in spheres. Now let us bring another addition to it, where you tell your friend that I am 4 kilometers away from the next metro station. So you are saying there is some next metro station, let's just say it is positioned here. You are 4 kilometers away from there. That means the direction can be any, but 4 kilometers looks something like this. But what it gives you an idea that you might be somewhere in here. The probability is this. Now let us bring another one into the picture, where you are saying to your friend that there is a very important landmark place which is 3 kilometers from Karol Bagh metro station. So another circle comes into the picture. and then probably you are in this. Exact location might not be still found, but this is being zeroed down gradually. Now imagine we are not talking about circles, we are talking about spheres which are being understood by these satellites. And that is why we need 4 satellites. And when you are thinking why 3 satellites cannot give us the exact location, let us understand another important concept here, which is clock error. Because when we are talking about atomic clocks, which are one of the most important components on these satellites, they are responsible for time precision. Each NavIC satellite carries an atomic clock which gives the exact ordinary time, which gives the exact time with extraordinary precision. And as I have just told you that when we are looking at calculation of distance, that is what will give us location. So if there is any difference of 1 microsecond also, our positioning location can be off by 300 meters. Now let us combine all of what we have understood and simplify just once to understand all of it. If a person has to, or if a satellite has to calculate the location, then the receiver should know latitude, they should know longitude, and they should also know altitude. That is why satellites are looking at the sphere. And we also need to see if there is any time clock error. That error also needs to be accommodated. So the total number of unknowns that need to be calculated are 4. And the measurements which will be available with 3 satellites will only give us 3 equations. Now 3 equations are not enough to solve 4 unknowns. We need 4 satellites which will give us 4 equations which will help us solve these unknowns that are present here. And as we have only 3 satellites, we only have timing services which can be availed from NavIC as of now. We do not have standalone positioning services because we are only getting 3 equations which cannot be directly used to derive the standalone locations. And that is why our systems are not working. So the question is, why is this not being corrected? This is not being corrected because we were supposed to put more satellites. When we are talking about satellites, we had 4 satellites initially in place. But one satellite, that is IRNSS 1F, which was supposed to be there for 10 years, it completed its operational time and now it cannot provide the services. And that is why we are falling short. So why did we not add more? We did not add more because when we are looking at NVS-03, it is ready to launch but it has not been put in orbit as of now. And when we are looking at others such as NVS-04, NVS-05, they are only at the advanced development stage. Their development has not been completed. So till NVS-03 is not launched, this important 4 satellites, the 4 equations which need to be known, they will remain incomplete. That means NavIC will probably only give timing services, not standalone positioning services. Now the question is, why NavIC is so important for us? One clear understanding I hope you have had, that we wanted our own navigation system. But at the same time, we have to understand that why were we dependent not just on one satellite but a whole satellite constellation, and why it was such a significant thing. It was a significant thing from the technological aspect also, because when we are talking about a constellation, not single satellite, it is basically a coordinated network of satellites which are working together. So they will be working together, they will be drawing up different viewing geometry, distance measurement and signal redundancy would also be provided. Together as a constellation, there will be improved positioning accuracy that will be seen. One satellite will not be able to promise this advanced positioning accuracy, and that is why we wanted this satellite constellation to work for us. And we clearly get to see, even though satellites are minimum as of now, we have modern navigation systems which are already deployed and they are able to give us better accuracy, continuous coverage, backup during failures, availability and also reliability. So as of now, the resistance against satellite outages is present, but we need to mend this at earliest. Otherwise, there is no point of pitching indigenous systems if they are not here to stay, serve, and ensure that they are fulfilling the purpose for which they are pitched. In the end, I am leaving you with a table of the global navigation systems so that you know these names. And here we have a prelims practice question for you. So let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.